everyone, Jonny from TWM, and I am joined by Ashley Vega here. As I almost said Alexa Vega, I keep thinking that. Like Ashley Vega.
Ashley.
Yes, and so how's everything with you going at the moment?
Good. I kind of just at the point where I just want to wrestle again. I'm sick of it now, but yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Scotland's going through stricter rules, are they?
Yeah, especially in Glasgow. It's just like I feel like we're back to square one, so not the best.
Yes, it's where I'm from as well. We're going to have strict lockdown rules from tomorrow. So.
Oh, great! So you're in the same boat.
Yes, for 6 months, possibly.
Oh, well, ours isn't that long, but great.
Yes. Well, so we'll start off right at the beginning for you. You know, you watched wrestling. Was it Trish Stratus you first watched?
Yeah. It was my brother that introduced me to wrestling because I think when I was really young, he was in his teen years and he was obsessed with wrestling. WWE especially, and then one day I just decided to watch it with him and I was just obsessed with it since. So that's when it all started. Okay. I blame him.
Yes, and how old are you now?
I am 20. I don't know why I had to think about that. That's shocking, 20.
Yes, I'm just thinking like Trish, you would have been 6 or 7.
2006 or 7. So yeah, 6 or 7 is probably like first. I remember it being 2007. It was like a Trish Stratus and Mickey James. It always sticks out, and I was so young, but I just always remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like I think this women's revolution they talk about. I don't know. I feel like it started long before 2015. Yeah.
See, I feel the same. Whenever a lot of people talk to me about this, they think that, you know, because I portray that I loved older wrestling and especially like the Attitude Era, and everyone always thinks that it's just a joke, and people don't actually know that I'm being serious about it. People think it's just like a character that I put along, but it's generally what I believe, and it's not like a character. I've always, like when I was growing up, I always went back and watched wrestling, just because my brother had all the old DVDs and that was all I watched. And it was like 2000 and 2001, and it was the stupid matches. I probably shouldn't have been watching that young anyway, but like the brand panties and all that, and I thought it was fun and entertaining, and that's why I like talk about it still today. And people think it's like they laugh at it and stuff, and yeah, it's funny, but like to me, like I actually enjoyed that, and and a lot of people think it's like, oh, you're setting wrestling back, but it's like everyone has like different tastes and what they like in wrestling, and I genuinely thought that was really entertaining, and that's why I like it, and that's why I still talk about it. So it's not like I think I've just got very different opinions from other people, but that's what I like.
I mean, when I look at that, you know, and I always think that, well, they're getting paid quite well to do that, and I'm sure they enjoyed it doing it themselves because, you know, it's fun, having a good time.
Exactly.
You know, Sable, you know, big star. I'm sure she was fine with doing what she did, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's so many like stupid like matches that I always think are so funny and just so entertaining to watch. Like the mud matches and like gravy bowl matches. Like it's so insanely stupid, but it was just so entertaining and I like it. So.
Yeah, well, you know, that's wrestling, isn't it? It's entertainment. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess, did you watch much of like TNA and stuff? Because I know
I did. Yeah.
Because they had like last women's standing matches and everything.
Yeah, I think like they were way before it than you know other companies were, and I don't think people like realise that. Because people talk about the women's revolution about it being like just 4 girls that started it, and it's like no, it's been going on for years. Like there's been so many women that have did like those matches were always considered like guy stuff, especially in TNA. I think that was like the first place I ever, like with Gail Kim and like all that kind of stuff. That was like the first time I ever saw women do stuff like that. Like that was the first company I ever saw. So yeah.
What about yourself? Have you been in any like extreme matches?
No, no. I've kind of just want to keep it that way because the only match I really want to have is like gravy bowl match. I don't want to like. I mean, if the opportunity came, I mean, I would do it because I love wrestling. But I mean, it's not like something I'm dying to do because I don't want to die. But yeah.
Okay. What do you think of, the idea of intergender matches then?
Yeah, I've never. I've been in like mixed matches, like mixed tag matches, but I've never really had the opportunity to go one-on-one, like on a show, anyways, with like a guy. But it's so entertaining to watch, and I honestly would love the opportunity to do it, whatever company would allow me to do that. But I know it's something that I've always wanted to do because I've always trained with guys. When I first started wrestling, there wasn't many girls at my school, and it was always guys I wrestled, and I just had fun, and it was something I always wanted to actually do in front of a crowd, but I've never actually had the opportunity to do it. So like I just envy people that have done it, and I know there's a lot of people, like a lot of girls and lots of guys that do it quite often. So I would love the opportunity to actually be able to do it. Hopefully one time when things go back to normal.
Yes, for sure. Is there any sort of notable names from your wrestling school that people might have heard of?
So I actually started training when I was 15, and the school that I went to, there was Noam Dar and Kaylee Ray went to that school. So, and then when I got a bit older, I now train with Joe Hendry. So I know it's a bit different from what I did before. I just thought, I like training with different people. So that was the main reason for me kind of moving schools. Like I just wanted more experience. But yeah, like notable names, probably, Noam and things. We all trained at the same school. So that's quite, something cool to think about,
Sure, yeah. Have you ever met Nikki Cross?
Yes. Once, like a really long time ago at a show. I think I was like a trainee. I wasn't even on shows, but I think it was like a brief hi. That was all. But I've never like had the conversation with Nikki Cross. I think she's actually someone I really look up to as well. Just because I think, she was really young when she started, and we were from the same place, and she's like in WWE, like she's just like living the dream. Like it's amazing to think that someone from like your area is like doing stuff like that. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I think just watching someone who you've seen, who you work with, who are appearing on TV.
It's exactly. It's mental to think like that's, I mean, it's not like you don't believe it, but it's just crazy to think, like, well, I was in their situation at one point, just wrestling in the UK, and then all of a sudden they're like all over TV. Like it's crazy to think in that sense.
I think when I looked at your matches on YouTube, one of the recent ones I saw was you against Anastasia.
Yeah.
Is that one of your was that like one of your last matches?
Yeah, probably actually. What probably was, one of my last matches, before it all happened. That was a fun match. It feels like that was ages ago, but that was literally one of the last times I wrestled in a show, which is crazy to think how long this has been going on for. But that's probably one of my more recent ones. Yeah, so probably best to judge me off that.
What was it like to work with her? Because obviously there's a bit of a height difference there as well. Does that change anything?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, sometimes it does. It can be challenging. But me and Anastasia, I've trained together a lot, and we've known each other for a good few years now. We trained with Sammy Jane for a year or so, together. So I think we knew each other really well. So wrestling on a show is just in training, you know each other so well, so it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, it's so easy when you know someone who you're working with. Yeah.
Exactly.
Before a wrestler has a match, they'll obviously, I guess, you have a workout before you wrestle.
Yeah.
But do you is the workout a little bit less intense since you're having a match that day, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, I don't want to go crazy before I wrestle. I like to just, take it easy. I want to keep all the hard stuff for going out there and not blow myself up before I even get out, because I'm blowing myself up when walking to the ring. I'm not the fittest person ever. So yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you obviously have different opinions in certain aspects of the wrestling. So I presume you play a heel most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time, and I do enjoy it. I feel like it's I feel like I'm just me, but 10 times more wrestling. Like I feel like I'm not really a different person. I mean, probably more confident person, but like I feel like it's just me plus 10, like crazy amount.
Because I think you said in that BBC interview, like, well, you know, I'm a nice person deep down.
Yeah, deep down, like there's one part of me that's really nice.
Yeah,
but, you know, you don't really get to see that often, I wouldn't say.
I mean, just looking at that match, you know, the crowd right in front of the ring, you know, getting really into it, and it's mad, really, to think that was only a few months ago, and that's, you know, how close they were to the ring. Actually, there wasn't even like a gap between you and the ring. They were just standing there.
I miss it, to be honest. It's like I think it's going to be really weird when shows go back to normal and things like. But I feel like it'll be a very long time before anything goes back to normal. To think we've nearly been a year now and we've not wrestled. Like it's so sad, but it just makes me more excited for when it does come back, because I think I'll appreciate it more. You know, when you're wrestling all the time, like every weekend, it kind of, and especially when I work in between, so it's sometimes I feel like you don't really appreciate it as much because you know, you don't have the time to digest it, and it sounds a bit silly, but I think being away from it, I realised how much I actually do miss it, and not being able to even like train or be in a ring for months and months is so depressing, and it's like you just want to get back, and it makes you like appreciate it more, I think, in that sense. Yeah. So
you said you work in a nursery, was it?
I did. I don't anymore. I work in an office job. It's not the best.
I was going to say, was there ever a time when the parents would be like, I recognise you from the rest?
Yeah, there actually was a time when the parents came to a show I was on, which was different because it was just so weird. They came to a show that I was on because their son liked wrestling, and they didn't know, and I was like, oh, you know, what show are you going to? And they were like, this one. And I was like, wow, I'm a wrestler as well, and I'm on that show. And they were like, no way. And I was like, yes, I am. And I was on the poster, and I showed them. And they were like, that. They didn't think it was me. But it was a very awkward, but, you know, you just have to get on with it.
Yeah, just like the idea of this person, you teach their
this
kids.
Person, trust me to hold their child.
Well, you should be all right holding the child because, you know, you're used to lifting people.
True. I mean, yeah.
So, what the current product are you up to date with what's happening in the current wrestling? Oh.
Yeah, I would say I feel sad watching wrestling now though, because I just want to do it. In terms like keeping up with things, I do try. But the thing is with me, like I watch quite a lot of old wrestling. I wouldn't say that I'm not that I don't like wrestling nowadays, but like I wouldn't say I'm up to date with it as much as I used to be. I don't know, whenever I watch wrestling, it's always like old pay-per-views and old matches that I'd never seen, and I just want to go back and watch them. I wouldn't say I'm completely up to date with what's going on now. But I would say I try to with like social media and things, and I do watch it as much as I can. But I would say like I'm such a bigger fan of what, you know, was before.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, I watched a few things. I think I watched the Survivor Series from '98 last night, and you know, it was great watching that.
Yeah, I love watching like old pay-per-views like from the like late 90s and early 2000s, because that's like the time wrestling really peaked. And I think like I wasn't even like born in the 90s, but I like watching it because it's just fun.
Yeah, I think until the time comes where the ratings and stuff is the same as what it was then, I don't know. People can never say it's as good as it used to be because you know, views suggest otherwise. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what people like forget quite a lot, especially when people talk about like the women's revolution. People think like obviously it just started like a few years ago, and it's like this kind of new thing that's still going, and I do believe like it's great and stuff, but I think it's always been going on. I think like there's so many times where like there's been matches like years ago that people have tried to kind of prove that, you know, they deserve more time than what they got. And I think people don't really understand that how long it's actually been going on. Just because it wasn't as big back then, like it doesn't mean it, you know, didn't start back then.
Yeah, I mean, there were some obviously more of a character based like fan, and someone like Alexa, for example, I think is fantastic. You know.
Yeah. I love Alexa. Yeah, she is. She's amazing. I love like big characters. I think that's like my main thing, and I always go to people like that because I always look for inspiration. But yeah, people with big characters are like my big thing.
So here's a one. Is there like a wrestler that, you know, you made people not expect you to say that you were a big fan of?
Yeah, like, so there's so many like women wrestlers that I looked up to when I was younger, and everyone knows that like my favourite was like Candice Michelle, which people think is like insane because people like she's not really that wrestler, and I'm like, but she is, she's amazing. I thought she was really good at what she did. But I think a lot of people wouldn't expect when I say like I say, the thing is, like, I say that on Twitter a lot, like I loved people like Terry Runnels and Sable and Candice, and people think that's a joke, but like it genuinely is like what I watch. Like, and I think people are shocked when I say that. They're like, "Do you seriously?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because I think it was fun." And they're like, they don't really believe it. Like that's genuinely what I do, and I'm like, "No, I do." Like, I would say that my character is basically just me. Like, I'm not pretending anything. I think a lot of people are shocked when I actually say that that's the kind of wrestling I watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's nice to hear, you know, a change, a different, like, a different opinion.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of girls think, I've never really came across anyone that enjoys, like, stuff like that. You know, I've never met anyone that enjoys wrestling like that. I mean, especially girls, I think a lot of girls always look up to people like Lita or Trish, or nowadays like Charlotte and things, and I think they're amazing and things, but to me I just have a different taste, and you know, a lot of people don't expect it, but I can't change it. So yeah,
I agree. Just it's, you know, the entertaining side of things, you know, and they do that very well. You know, and again, I think it's good to have wrestling, like proper wrestling matches sometimes, but not all the time. I think sometimes you need...
Yeah, it's good to have, like, you know, like wrestling's always that entertainment value as well. So I think it's good to have, like, you know, an even balance in that sense.
Like for me, you know, Kurt Angle's my favourite wrestler of all time, but like, you could do everything, you know, and I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's actually someone I really love watching as well, because he's so, like, the things he did with like the mill and everything, he's so funny, and he's also so good in the ring. Like, people, I love that kind of like balance that people can do like both.
Oh, for sure. But I also noticed that you're a YouTuber. And, you have a wrestling storyline mode that you do on your channel. Yeah,
I love like old games, because see, I don't really play much new games. I wouldn't say like I'm a big gamer person, but like my brother, like I said, he was a lot older than me when I was younger, and he had like the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2, and like he gave it to like me when I was like grown up, and it was, I remember the first game I ever played was SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, and I was obsessed with it. I just thought it was so amazing. Like, and then I started watching wrestling around that time as well. So yeah, like I love old fashioned games, like especially old wrestling games for like the PlayStation 2. It's just it's so much fun. Like I would like play them all the time. I just think they're fun. I would always like redo like the Road to WrestleManias and the story modes, because they're so fun and addictive. It's like insane.
Yeah, that was one I never played, unfortunately. The two SmackDown versus Raw. I used to have No Mercy, and well, I still have No Mercy. And you know, games.
Like, see, I never played them before, and then my brother recently got, like, because he loves his games, he recently got the the Nintendo 64, and I'd never played it before, and I like got the wrestling games for it because I just wanted to like try, and I found out like the cat and everything was in it, and I was like, oh my god, like I need to play this on YouTube because it's I've never like came across a game like this. And so I love old fashioned games. I always play them. I always find myself playing them more than like games that are out now. Like it's weird.
Yeah, the 2K games have not been as good the last few years.
Yeah, I wouldn't like. I mean, I buy them and I play them once, and then I just go back and play like games that are 10 years older. Yeah. It's just, yeah.
Well, they got that new one, Battlegrounds, which might be good.
I've actually played that. It's very different to what they've did for like years. It's it's kind of like the arcade game. It's weird. It's so different, but it's good. Like the graphics and everything's just completely different, and I actually really like it because it kind of, do you know what it's like? I don't know if you remember that All Stars game that came out, and it was that's what it's like. It's very over dramatic whenever you like hit your finisher, like you fly up in there, like that's what it's like. It's very much like retro, and I would say it's like a lot like that All Stars game that came out like a few years ago. So it's good that it's different. So it is quite fun.
Okay, yeah. I love just, I've tried to play the recent games, and, you know, it's just something not quite like the old ones. But this Battlegrounds might be something that I'll be interested in trying, like.
Yeah, I played like one match, but it's good, like, because it's completely different to what you've seen in, like, the last 10 years. I feel like all the games have been really, really similar. There's not really been anything different, apart from, like, I can't remember what 2K it was, and it was like all the Attitude Era story modes. I can't even remember what year
13,
it was.
I think it was.
13, yeah. I really enjoyed that one, but like apart from that, there's not been one that's like stood out to me since then, because I really enjoyed that story, the story modes in that. But then apart from that, there's not really been one that I always go back and play, like, because they're all so similar.
Yeah, they're all the same. It seems like they've tried to make it more like a sports game, so, you know. Yeah,
it's not as fun. I love like this when there's, you know, like differences in them, especially like the SmackDown vs Raw. I felt like they were all quite different when they came out, like the 2007 and the first SmackDown vs Raw. There was a big huge difference between them both. The story modes were different. Like every year I felt like the SmackDown vs Raw games were at least a bit different, but then like with the newer games I didn't really feel like, I feel like whenever you bought it, it was just like newer people that was on the roster. I didn't really feel like there was much difference. So it didn't really interest me, but I still bought them for fun.
Of course, yeah. Wasn't there a part of the 2007 one where Trish Stratus becomes WWE champion or something?
Champion, yes. It was like I can't remember what the match was. I'm sure Carlito was involved. I don't even know why I remember this. I've not played it in years, but these things just stick with me. And she goes, it was like a ladder match, and she goes and climbs it and wins the WWE champion. It was mental. Like, I wish games were all like that now. Like, why not?
I know. I miss those days. And hopefully they'll start bringing those back after this, next year.
Yeah, I think they will, because it's completely, like, the game that they brought now is completely different to what they've done in like years. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah, well, you know, we don't talk about the 2K20 disaster. So.
Oh yeah, I never played that really. No, wasn't a big fan of that, I would say. But I still buy them all because I just like having them. I never really go back and play them.
Yeah, I think it's great to have the collection though.
Yeah, I have so many like pointless games. I remember there was like that racing game. It was like Crush Hour or something. I don't know if it's called that. Crazy. I think people come up with weird stuff, but it's fun.
So this year was obviously the year of the Speaking Out movement, by the way.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's been like a long time coming. I feel like when it first all happened, it was really, really weird because everyone like knew it was happening and it was just like normal, and it sounds awful to say that, but it was just normal because like no one would say anything about it if anyone was, you know, going through it. It was just normal, and it sounds awful, but it was just became such a normal thing in wrestling, and it shouldn't have, but no one would say anything about it because they were too scared about it. And then when it all started, like people actually coming forward from things that happened like years ago, or things that didn't happen years ago. Like recently, it was just like mental to think. I didn't really process it because when it like came out, I didn't think it would get as much attention as it did, because I thought, you know, they would, before, if someone ever said anything, they would be completely shut down, and you know, that was that. But then when people were like, you know, everyone was sticking up, and I was like, it's crazy to think how many people had went through it. And I don't know, it's just weird to think that it was actually all coming out. And then it got so much attention, and like even the BBC picked up on it. Like it was like crazy the amount of attention it got. But it was you know, it was good that it finally all kind of came out, even though it was years. But it did. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, because obviously when I heard that you started wrestling when you were, was it 14?
Yeah, 14, 15.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was a bit concerned that I was thinking, well, I hope she's been, you know, doing all right, you know, considering all these things that are coming out now.
Yeah, I think like there's so many, you know, people that had been in wrestling for years that got away with so much. And it's just disgusting to think, but, you know, we all stayed in it because we liked it. And that should be normal. Like, we shouldn't have to worry about anything else apart from, you know, wanting to wrestle. But I'm kind of glad that it's like came forward, because there's so many young girls now that like I know that have started wrestling, and they're like 15, 16, and I would never want them to have went through things that other people have went through. So it's good that it's all came out now for like other people that have started to, you know, not have to worry about anything like that. So it's good that it's came forward, because I think it'll be a lot better for like girls now, especially even guys that have went through quite a lot as well. I don't think people realise it's not just the like girls. Like there's a lot of guys that have, you know, went through stuff as well, and I think it's good that it'll be like a great thing for younger people starting out, that they won't need to worry about anything like that. They can just, you know, get on with wrestling.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But what promotion do you normally work for?
I think, well, there's so many. There's so many companies I've worked for, but Discovery is my favourite, and I've worked there quite a few times. I would say Discovery. There's so many. I wouldn't say there's like a lot of regular companies. There's so many companies I've worked for. But Discovery is always one I always go back to, and I just love. It's like my favourite place to work.
So I was just going to ask, like, have they made changes following all this news that's been coming out?
Yeah. So like everything that's coming out, speaking out, especially Discovery have been like the big company that came forward and were like, we're not using these people anymore. We're not going to like associate ourselves with them. And they've done a lot as well behind the scenes for all the workers there to make sure everyone's safe. And it's a great thing to see. It makes me more excited to go back, because I know that like myself or like any other people aren't going to have to be in worry about what other people are going to do. You just need to get on with wrestling, and that's like the main thing. Like it's just going to be so much more fun that we don't have to worry about it, especially, you know. And I think fans were surprised as well, but I think even at that, fans were going through stuff as well, like that were regular at shows. I think it's just going to be a much safer place for everyone, and I think it's just going to be so much more fun when everyone goes back, and it will be back to normal. So yeah.
Yes. Have you worked at ICW?
No, I've not. Unfortunately, I would love to work there though. I know like a few, like Anastasia and things have obviously worked there, and I'd love the chance to do it. I've never had the chance to, you know, but I'm kind of gutted now that like everything's kind of slowed down, and I probably won't get the opportunity anytime soon. So fingers crossed though, like when things go back. Yeah,
fingers crossed. And I think because they have such a unique style, that it's the thing, it's different. I think I think getting bookings might not be too difficult for you, because you obviously bring something different to the table.
Yeah, everyone, you know, a lot of people say that. When I started training with Joe, he was kind of surprised when we were told to like cut a promo and training, and I was like cutting a promo on like Kelly, and everyone was like, "What is she talking about?" Like, I was talking about like Sunday Night Heat, and like they were never heard of it, and I don't know. I think people were quite shocked, but they think it was funny, and I was like, "No, like, I genuinely like it, so I'm going to talk about it." But yeah, I would say everyone thinks kind of sticks out, because there's not really any other girls that love wrestling like that, so it's different. But it's a good thing.
Oh, it's definitely a good thing, I think. So the Scarlet Bordeaux kind of thing, she was very different.
That was someone that I probably was like the only person that I really noticed that was doing anything like that. And, and now she's not really doing it anymore. So I think it's like you've given me a bigger opportunity to go further with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to things go back because I've got I feel like I've not did as, like, especially on YouTube, I've not really did as much as I wanted to do because I've been so busy. But there's so many other like videos. I've got so many ideas of like promos and stuff I want to talk about. I've did like little clips on Twitter and things about the cat. Like there's just so many ideas, like stupid ideas I've got, and I just want to like talk about them all and just but hopefully one day when things go back to normal, I just want to go back to wrestling and be stupid again. But we'll see.
It would be great when it finally comes back to the way it used to be. Yeah. Have you still got? Is the dream WWE or are you?
I mean, like I think everyone's got like different dreams. I think if you are a wrestler and didn't say you wanted to go to WWE, you would be stupid. I think everyone's always at least wanted that at one point. I would say I've not got my heart set on it because there's so many other places I want to work for like Ring of Honor and things. But of course, if like the opportunity came, I would jump at it. But there's so many other things I want to do as well. So there's a lot of things I want to do, before that. But if I got it, obviously I would completely go for it. Yeah. But there's so many other things I want to do as well.
Yeah. So when it comes to your in-ring style, just quickly, what is your style in wrestling matches?
A lot. Someone I actually really look up to wrestling wise is Mickie James, because I think she was just different. Like a lot of what she did was, I don't know, I feel like she was really different from all the other girls, especially in her time. And I still watch her wrestling wise. She's really someone I look up to. So I would say I take a lot of inspiration from her with moves and things like that, or how I wrestle is a lot comes from her. Especially Trish Stratus as well. And a big influence on me in my wrestling was Sami Jane, because when we trained together, she helped me a lot with my moves and everything I use. So honestly, like Sami as well was like a big influence on what I like do today as well.
Mm-hmm. So where can we find you on the socials?
Everything is Ashley Vega UK, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It's all Ashley Vega UK.
Yeah. Well, I must say it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been
you
nice.
Too. Thank you.
So take care, and hopefully I'll see you on an event sometime.
Sometime, fingers crossed.
Yes. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you so much.